Hey,
Do you know who
your
you are?
fly is down. Okay. I checked it before I came over here. Hey, I'm Harold P., grateful recovering addict.
I'm Maya. I'm an addict. Oh, I'm grateful too.
Okay.
So we were talking about this, weren't we?
We were. See, we qualify to do this.
Yeah. And so I told Harold, I said, I'm going to make my amends first, because we may say something that you all go, oh, they're going to burn in hell for that. But
I'm not going to make an amends. Y'all asked me to speak.
that's right. He reminded me of that. So I want to say this. As a woman, when you ask someone to speak in a workshop, aging and recovery, you might want to change your verbiage.
And I'm still trying to figure out why they asked me to do this. But I do want to say one thing. It's Thanksgiving holiday season, and look around at all the addicts that are in here recovering and not out there practicing the disease of addiction. Give yourself a hand. And I want to say this. This is a little off topic. I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I have been on a Facebook site that's dealing with what happened over in North Carolina. Jim and Maya have been over there dealing with what happened in North Carolina for what, about 3 weeks now? So give them a hand. All right. So aging in recovery.
Maturing
in recovery.
Oh, he's a good orator. I just remembered oral. Sorry.
So on page one,
let's get spiritual.
On page
shall
115 in the basic text, it says, a member shared, there really isn't too much to this aging thing except self-acceptance. Have you heard that before? And what your body does. Like so many other things in recovery, it sounds simple from the other side, but getting there can be a long walk.
Without a walker.
Yeah. So she called me and said, what am I going to do? Get up here and tell them I'm on medication and my cholesterol's through the roof? Well, we both qualify for that, all right?
Cholesterol and, thyroid.
All right, so I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous August the 31st, 1988. I can close my eyes and see it like it was yesterday. That is not my clean date, because sometime in April of 95, I thought I had it all figured out, and I went out for about 4 hours one night and tried it again and quickly figured out I do not want that way of life. I came back in the next day and picked up a white key tag and started my continuous journey over again. There's a world of difference in this 62-year-old kid standing up here than that 25-year-old kid who came into that meeting that night. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. There was a guy there who told me he had 10 years. I knew he was full of shit. Nobody could be clean 10 years, right? And they sat in a circle. Well, I'd done that many times out in fields and places. And they laughed and they had fun, and I left there going, every one of those people are high. There's no way you can have that much fun without being high, right? That's what brought me back to the next meeting. I thought, if I keep coming back, they had a chairperson. They were the president of the thing, I guess, and they had the basic text. That's pretty much all they had back then. They didn't have all the literature we have now. And the guy walked up to me and said, I'm surprised you're still alive. And I said, I don't know you. He goes, oh, yeah, you spent a weekend at my house, but I'm pretty sure you were in a blackout. And he handed me my first basic text. He said, you ought to go home and read this. And I did. And I thought, holy shit, they've been following me around. I mean, that's how self-centered I was. And I kept coming back because I thought they would teach me the secret handshake, take me out back, teach me how to get high without suffering consequences. And what I found was something much better, much, much better.
Oh, I got to follow that
Yeah,
up?
come on. Yeah.
Could you repeat that? I peed before I come in here.
So did I. Good job. The older you get, the smaller your bladder gets.
So the way I look at this, too, is I got to turn around and say my perception of maturing in recovery is being an old timer. And I remember people, I've been clean a little over 31 years. I'm a one chip person, and I didn't do that without you all and without Narcotics Anonymous. The one thing that I got to say is I remember watching people, the old timers. He was talking about 10 years. I thought if you had a year, you could like walk on water, you know. And I thought, I'll never get there. I'll never. What are they laughing about? What? Why are they so happy? And they were traveling in packs. And then, you know, some of the naysayers goes, that's just the clique. Well, I figured out what a clique was then. It is people that are not using, enjoying their life. And somebody said, Freddie Morton actually was talking about him earlier, stick with the winners. So I figured out they're not a pack of wild wolves. Well, some of them were. They're not a pack of wild wolves. They were just people that were not using and learning how to apply these steps in their lives. And I thought, ooh, when I grow up, I want to be an old timer. But then I didn't realize I got clean at 27, and I'm not going to tell you my age because a woman will tell your age will tell you anything, but you can figure that out. Can I? Can't you? Can't we? We can. Okay, so anyway, I don't know where I was going with. Yes, I've been doing some stuff outside of the fellowship because on the back of my medallion, I read it every year. I pick up one. It says Self-Service Society and God. God's given me the strength to stand up here and not pass out or have bladder problems. But, you know, I don't know. You know, going back, I guess we are old timers, aren't we? I guess. Mark Little told me one time, I think it was Mark, you're no longer a newcomer when you've been clean as long as you used. So I was an old timer at 20 years clean. So I guess now I'm just older than shit. I don't know. But one thing I can tell you is if you sit around the rooms, you can tell the clean time. It shows up when you look down the row. You're not that crackhead looking thing when you walked in here. You know, not going to stay young. And then I was like, ooh, question my mortality. What are you reading? Oh, squirrel. Why does that always happen to me? But, you know, I wanted to be in a pack. I wanted to stick with the winners, you know, and through that, staying clean, staying here, and being a part of has taught me to write. Did I write today? Oh, sorry, no, there went a squirrel. It's learned me to live my life without the use of drugs. It's also taught me how to handle things in life because when I got clean at 25, looking the way that I did, and also I'll tell you something else I learned. You don't like this. I changed the way I dressed. I did. I was like to my first sponsor, oh, I'm sorry, I'm about here. Look this way. So my first sponsor, I was like, why is that guy, you know, I thought that guy's checking me out. Maybe some of the girls too. Don't know. But I was like, why are they checking me out? And he's like, he said, it's the way you were dressing. Did you have dressing with your turkey yesterday? Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
I'll have it tomorrow.
Are you? What are you going to have tomorrow?
Turkey and dressing.
Oh, geez.
Come on over.
Oh, what time? You have to write it down.
4 o'clock.
I'll have to put that in my phone.
Jim will remember.
I hope not. I hope so. But anyway, the one thing about it is that I had to change the way I thought about everything. I had to change my entire life. I had to change the way I dressed because I had to quit that attention seeking. And so, you know, that's the thing. If I see it a lot on social media, you know, at the halfway house, and I'll say to some of my girls, look, that's negative attention. You know, we all want to be told we're pretty. We all want to be told that we fine. Well, for more than one night, but we all want we all want that love and that self-assurance that we're doing the right thing. But I have found over time, what time? Oh, we're good. Okay, so over time, I've learned that I don't have to act like that anymore. And I mean, I have newer people say you don't have to act like that anymore. So what was I talking about?
I don't know.
You know, Michelle was supposed to brought me. Never mind. So anyway, but throughout life and throughout this process of becoming an old timer and maturing in recovery, I've learned a lot of things. Do you want to talk now?
Sure.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
When I'm ready?
Yep.
What am I ready for? What?
For me to talk.
Turkey and dressing. Go ahead.
So she asked me before the meeting, what are you going to do if I get up here and I can't talk? I said, I don't think we got to worry about that. So as I started aging in recovery, as I actually started getting in here and participating, because I don't know about you guys, but when I came in as a newcomer, I was looking for every reason not to be here. And thank God for a great sponsor who set me down. He said, you're going to hear the most crap in NA that you've ever heard. Like, you got to change everything. If I tell a newcomer they got to change everything, what did I just tell them? They have nothing of value whatsoever. I don't like that phrase. Another one is relapse is a part of recovery. Relapse is not a part of recovery. Relapse is a part of you not participating in recovery. It says in this book right here, we have never, N-E-V-E-R, never seen a person fail who has thoroughly lived this program. So if you relapse, and I did, that's probably a big red truck telling you that you're not thoroughly living this program. He sat me down and he taught me so much. I was in a clubhouse in Memphis that probably, when it met, 300 people would meet in the main hall, as we called it, and then they'd split off into different meetings. I come in one day and I had my poor, pitiful me on my face, and he goes, what's wrong with you? And I said, nobody cares about me. He said, oh, poor baby, I see what you do. He said, you come in here and you hug on the cute girl, and if she don't do what you want her to do, you throw a fit and walk out. He said, maybe we should all just put you in a chair and line up and walk by and tell you how great you really are. And I said, that'd be great. And he said something to me then that I hated, but I love it now. He said, he always called me boy. And, I was going to tell him I'm not a boy one day. I never did. Scared me to death. He said, boy, I got a wonderful opportunity for you. He said, your ass don't have a job. He said, I want you to be here at the 5:30 meeting at 4:30, and I want you to be at the 8 o'clock meeting at 7, and we're going to put you out on the stoop, and you're going to be our greeter. And me and my sponsor, my grand sponsor at the time, we're going to watch you. And I was scared of my sponsor, but I was terrified of this guy. He was an ex-biker with long white hair, and when he met me, he said, don't talk to me until you have 90 days clean, and if you're in pain, let me know. We'll tie a rope around your neck and drag you down the road. And every time I'd come into a meeting, he would point his finger at me, go, boy, how are you feeling today? And I'd go, fine, and he'd back me up in the corner, proceeding to tell me how I felt, and he read my mail. I think I had 10 years clean when he passed away. I walked into his hospital, to his room, and he's on his deathbed. He raises up and points that finger at me and said, boy, you're never going to make it. But he loved me. He did. So they put me out on this stoop, and what I had to do is when the men come through, I had to hug them and look them in the eye and say, hey, I'm glad you're here. I need you in my recovery, and I love you as my brother. And when the women came through, I had to shake their hand and say, I'm glad you're here. I love you as my sister. And the first guy that walked through, I kind of did this, blah, 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 blah. He said, no, hell no, that's not how we told you to do it. Go catch that guy and do it right. Funny thing happened. After about a month and a half of doing that, I was glad to see you. I wanted to hug you. And if you were my sister, I wanted to shake your hand. And if you missed a meeting, I was like, hey, what happened? Are you okay? Give me your number. So if you miss another meeting, I can call you and make sure you're okay. And when I left there and moved here, I was pretty much friendly with everybody in that room. And what he taught me, if you don't have any friends, it's probably because your spirit is not friendly. So you need to check into that. Because, see, he taught me this. He had me put 2 pieces of paper on my bathroom mirror. He said, I want you to look at them every morning. One said, I am the problem. And the other one said, I can be the solution. And he said, where do you want to be today, in the solution or the problem? It's your choice, and that's how you get the promise of this process, which is freedom from the bondage of addiction. So where I am today is, I hadn't done drugs in a long time, okay? But now drugs can be my major symptom as soon as I put them in my hand. So I don't go places where I can put them in my hand. I don't associate with people that will possibly put them in my hand.
today I'm working on being a part of mainstream society. It says in the Living Clean book that I can't quote it exactly, but we call people earthlings. I chuckle when I hear someone in a meeting say those earthlings. Is anybody here from another planet? I know, Amy. And then we call them civilians. Is anybody in here active right now in the military? We're all civilians, right? We call them normies. Do y'all know what normal is? Anybody? Well, I didn't come into Narcotics Anonymous to be an appliance. I'm sorry. Normal is whatever you get used to on a daily basis. This young lady lives in Florida. Her normality is to live in Florida. My normality is to live in Knoxville. And the cool thing about being normal, if you don't like your normality, you can change it. So we're all normal. Whatever you get used to on a daily basis becomes normal. Normal for me today is to be a member of Narcotics Anonymous. I got family at home. I really didn't want to come here tonight, but I was taught never say no. Now I have had to say no because of work and other commitments, but I told my family and my wife, who was madder than anybody else, I'm going to come do this and I'll go back home, and I will. Today I'm focusing on my health. My doctor and I are best friends. We know each other by first names because I see him quite a bit. And I'm accepting that, I got a knee that's swelling up right now. And I go to the doctor every 6 or 7 months and get a shot of cortisone, and I got one the other day and it's not working. So, it's gotten worse. I'm accepting that. Because what else am I going to do about it except accept it? And I'm going to get into the solution of it, and I may have to have a knee replacement or something. And if I do, that's what I'll do. Yep. I love my sponsees. I love working with them. And here's my opinion on sponsorship. It is one of the greatest service positions in Narcotics Anonymous, because all I am is the middle person between the sponsee's higher power and the sponsee. That's all I am. And if they don't participate in that relationship, we got nothing. The power's all theirs. And I don't know if I help them, but they damn sure help me. I have had some of my most brightest spiritual awakenings working with a sponsee. And you can ask my sponsee, if we're doing step work in person, I got a notebook and I'm taking notes because crap comes out of my mouth that I've never heard of before, and that's God. So the longer I'm in here, the more I trust in this process, the more I call my higher power God, the more I trust in God, and the less I allow the dis-ease to try to run my life. Now, don't get me wrong, it always talks to me. It does a great job. And where I am today is I look down at it and I go, thank you for sharing. You're doing a great job, because that's what it's supposed to do. Had someone call me the other day, my disease jumped all over me. Well, did you expect anything else? It's always going to do that. You don't hear it so much now, but in the old days, people would say, my disease is outside the parking lot right now, pushing cars around doing push-ups. Man, I wish I had that disease. I'd have Jim take me home, and I'd leave that son of a bitch out there somewhere. I don't have that disease. My disease is up here, right in my head, telling me to shut up, sit down. Who are you to be up here? And nobody in here wants to hear a damn thing you're saying. That's what it's telling me. It always does, and I just chuckle at it. Yeah. Yeah, I got several voices. Yeah. So I'm learning how to deal with life. I'm learning how. All right, I've got 3 ex-wives. And the second one told me once, you work a perfect program, 1 hour a day. And the rest of the time, you're the most miserable, hateful SOB on the face of the earth. And you know what? She was right. So I don't work a perfect program today, but I try to work it everywhere I go. If you talk to me for 10 minutes, you know I'm in recovery. I try to work my recovery on the job. I love what I do now. I'm pretty much self-employed. I can take as long of a break as I want to, but I do have to practice self-discipline and work. I practice recovery when I go into a supermarket. Instead of griping at the lady or the gentleman behind the counter, if they got their name tag on, I call them by first name and I go, I really appreciate what you're doing here. You're doing a great job, and thank you. Have a blessed day. Because, see, I was taught how I react to that person is going to be how she reacts to the next people that she waits on. And I'm responsible for that. I pay all my bills today. My credit score is higher than it's ever been. I remember it was like 200. My car that I drove over here is mine. I didn't steal it. The tag, the license plate on the back of it is current. My driver's license, they're mine and they're valid. I have insurance on the car. I'm a homeowner. I have insurance on my home. My neighbors actually like me. Think about all that. Go ahead.
Ditto. One of my neighbors doesn't like me. So, oh my gosh. Anyway, so, where am I? Yeah. I was trying to think of what the heck to even talk about, because God bless, I listen to him, and that's scary sometimes. But, I was telling a friend before I came in here that, one time in Memphis, I had about 10 years clean, and I had to share on the topic of fun and recovery. And I wasn't spiritually set. I was physically tired. And I got up there and I said, "Do you remember that, Lucy?" Oh my gosh. Freddie Morton and I were doing a workshop together, and he was one of my, he can walk on water kind of guys. And it was on fun and recovery, and I got up there, I go, "Hey, I'll have lots of fun and recovery." And then I started crying. I ran out of the room, and I wouldn't show my face. I couldn't go back in there. And then Freddie did his part, and they did their part, and he come out there and he said, "I love you, but I hate you. I've never seen anybody get a standing ovation for running out of a damn room." And I just kind of looked at him and said, "Fun as hell, ain't I?" But I was just thinking about this whole aging, maturing, and recovery. And, I was talking about how I had to change how I looked on the outside. But the big thing, the change came for me when I started working on the inside. And that was with the Steps Traditions sponsor and doing what I needed to do. First thing for me was just not using. I get that. And I remember wanting to punch these old timers in the face. They go, "It's just not about the drugs." Bullshit. I beg to differ. And then I was like, okay, when they did tell me to change everything, I was like, ugh, this is going to be boring. I don't want to work that hard. And I was told, you either do it or you die. And I didn't want to die. Although I tried so many times to commit suicide. I tried so many times to self-sabotage no matter what. But I didn't think I had a problem, because I had no tattoos. I had, a career. All these things that I had. It was all the outside stuff. And I did steal a car one time. Well, let me take that back. I knew a guy that had a car, and I knew what to do to borrow it. And I wrecked it. But anyway, he had insurance, I think. I don't know. But see, the thing is having to change how I acted. And I still act kind of stupid and immature and on edge and stuff like that. But I don't blame it on my addiction anymore. I don't blame it on my disease. If I'm an asshole, I'm an asshole. If I'm hateful, bitchy, whatever, and you don't like it, that's just get a sponsor. But I'm not blaming that shit on nothing. The main thing about in recovery, you learn how to accept responsibility. If I'm going down the freeway and I'm doing 90, 89, officer, I found that out from a state trooper at the disaster relief site. Anyway, if they're doing paper, never mind. So, anyway, if I'm doing 90, 89, and I get a ticket, what am I going to say? "I'm sorry, it's because I'm an addict. Got the disease of addiction." You know what I mean? I can't blame nothing on nothing anymore. It's my responsibility. Recovery is my responsibility. I think I took my cholesterol medicine already. But anyway, so I had to take that responsibility. When I go see a physician, because I have aged, it's my responsibility to let them know I'm in recovery. I can be bullshit and go, "Well, my knee hurts. I think I need that." So if I seek it out, yeah, I'll probably find it. But the whole thing is I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be like that, and I don't want to feel like that. And I keep my eyes and my ears open, and I listen to these newbies that come in here. They don't come in here and go, I shit my pants. I don't know what he had. I'm going to the health department to get STD checked. Oh, it was great, my relapse. I don't hear that. I hear, I can't believe I lived through that again because so-and-so didn't. You know, I guess my family, that my grandparents that raised me, they said that I would never live to see 25. You know, and then they said, you'll never live to see 30. And I got clean at 27. And when I picked up my 5-year medallion, I wanted to call my grandmother and say, you owe me a shit ton of money because you took bets on my life. You know, and I'm like, so everybody else seen it but me. And then until I worked that first step and I accepted the fact that I might have a disease of addiction, there wasn't nothing. Until I surrendered, there was nothing. I lied. I had to go through the employee assistance program. I lied. I was higher than a giraffe's ass, but I lied. Or do you use drugs? Nah. Do you drink? Maybe on Saturdays. You know, when in fact my life was a total disaster. You know, and then the third time when I went in there, I'm like, buddy, I'm so damn high, I don't even know how I got here. I think I parked in your all's lot, you know. And what can we do to help you? You know, they sent me to treatment. So, anyway, thank God I had good insurance. But the thing is now, and let me tell you something about aging and maturing and being an old-timer in recovery is this. When you relapse, it's not okay. And I'm sorry, but it's not. It's not. But it's okay that you pick your ass up and get back into these rooms because we will love you. I'll tell you some other things that chaps my ass, and I can do this because I'm mature and I'm aged in recovery. Somebody comes back in here and they've lost everything and they probably overdosed and brought back. Do not tell them there's the fucking door. If you don't want it, you don't tell them there's the door. You could send somebody right back out there and they might not make it back. Don't ever tell them nobody that. I'll throat punch you if I hear that. I don't care if they come in here and they're so high they slide out of their seat. I've seen it many a times. You sit down with them and you hold them in that chair. Is that part of aging? Maturity? I still ain't learned not to cuss. Don't tell people this. If you read that third tradition, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. And I don't care what dope you've done, where you've done it. If they told me to stick it up my ass, under my fingernail, in my ear, I would have done it. All I want to do is change the way I felt. Don't ever tell nobody that there's the door. You know, I learned about that tradition when one of these guys that used to come to my home group member at Better Late Than Never, CRS, Aging in Recovery. He came in, he was drunk. And he sat beside me. There was 1,000 seats. I had about 4 years clean, maybe. Do you remember that dude? About 4 or 5 years clean. And he sat down beside of me, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what is this lesson I got to learn? There was 15,000 empty seats in there, and he sat beside of me. And he leans over to me, and he goes, hey. And I'm like, hey. And glad you could make it, you know. I didn't judge. Well, I did. Yeah, I did at first. I'm like, and then I was thinking about that third tradition. I'm like, where else would I want him to be? And so I said, hey, you want a cup of coffee? What's what they tell me. That's what they used to give me when I was drunk. I guess. I don't know. You know. And I got him a cup of coffee. And he sat there through the whole meeting. And then people that were mean mugging me for treating him with kindness and grace and generosity, oh, they got an ass whooping after the meeting. I do it verbally. So I've taught a lot about aging and maturing and recovery, is that I can change. I'm not perfect by any means. And if you think you are, you're so full of shit you can't even see a daylight. You know, there was something else. See? Forgot.
You're doing great. Keep rolling.
Rolling?
Yeah, keep
rolling? We're going rolling it? Oh, bowling.
Yeah.
I like bowling. I don't like ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant. Ain't got nothing to do with aging and recovery, but just note to self. Do what? She's like, being an old timer, sometimes I'll get honest about this, is that sometimes newcomers do annoy the shit out of me like a gnat on your apple. I was that gnat at one time. So I got to remember where I came from, no matter if it's from a meeting, from the streets, from wherever. I was there. Anybody ever go, they've got 18 months clean when they're doing service work? I know you're doing service, because I was that. I know it all. And so I can quote everything, and it's just, that's where I was. I had to mature in how I thought things. I had to mature in things. And yes, I do say things at the risk of being whatever. It's how I roll. It's my program. And again, they shouldn't ask me to speak if they don't want to hear my shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, as soon as Harold heard about it, he called me, and I was up in Bristol doing that work, and I was like, I'll call you later. And then I called him a couple nights ago. Yeah, maybe. I have to write stuff down. We don't know. We talked. But, and I tell you, and this is no joke, after I had COVID, the one and only time, thank you God, I still have COVID brain. So, like, if I'm telling my story, I have to write things down. As long as I don't sit there and read it verbatim. My name is Maya. I am an addict. I have to make notes because, yes, I am getting older. And I am losing it some days, Just saying. And, a lot of the stuff that I had to get over from maturing in recovery too is to get beyond judgment. Is to get not my judgment, but judgment on me, and not to worry about what you think of me, and not to worry about what you think of my program, and not to worry about any of you, because it doesn't matter. Because at night I go to bed, God's in my head and in my heart. I wake up, God's in my heart and in my head. That's right after I have to go pee, because I can't. When I get up, you have the same problem too? Yeah, me too, man. Oh, sorry, hello. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, the thing is that I had to learn to change. I did have to learn how to change everything, and mortality when you do get age-wise in recovery, because I'm getting up there. I'm not as old as you, but damn near. Don't forget your keys. Did I what? I seen a sign. I didn't drive. No, I didn't. Okay, so don't forget your keys. Keys to what? Keys. Oh, you forget your keys?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, it's like that 70s movie. Dude, where's my car?
I was sitting at home on the couch.
He was
watching TV, and my wife said, "Aren't you going to go do what you got to do?"
Which wife is this?
What do I got to do?
I think I've only been married once. Twice. You're second. Okay. One of them's questionable, but that was under the influence, not anything to do with age. This whole aging and recovery, I was like, well, that's some bullshit. When Grant called me, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to whoop that little asshole, when I see him. And then I'm always thinking, like Harold said, and people have told me over the years, Narcotics Anonymous did not say no to me, and I can't say no to them. Even if I get up here and I say, my name's Maya, and my favorite color is purple, and I like walks on the beach, I can't swim a lick either. Never did learn. Lived on the river. Whatever. That was useless freaking information. But, it is what it is. And somehow I have managed to put together 31 years and some spare change. Can you spare some change? Okay. And to get where I'm at. And, clean time, people will say, it doesn't really, get you some. And then come talk to me. Because clean time does matter. And I've learned things over the years, too, about these old timers is, I go, ooh, I want to be just like them when I grow up. And then there's some I go, screw this shit. I'd rather get high than act like that when I've got X amount of years. So I don't know which category I fall into in your head. But, however, Howard, no, that's not him. That's Harold. So, anyway, I don't know what else. Do you want blah, blah? Do you have some more? I know you do, because remember, orator, oral. Okay.
Always. So, hey, Brenda, look. New step working guide. I was sharing somewhere years ago, and Brenda was right in the front row, and I opened my book, and it was in a million pieces, and there was a fan, and it went everywhere. As Brenda was helping me pick it up, I'll never forget what she said to me. Show me an old timer whose step working guide has fallen apart, and I'll show you one who's got their life together. I think it was 10 years later, she called me and said, guess what? My step working guide is falling apart. I love her for that. So, one thing about growing old in recovery is this fits. In living the steps, we begin to let go of our self-obsession. I started realizing the world really doesn't revolve around me. We ask a higher power to remove our fear of facing ourselves. We asked a higher power to allow us not to face ourselves when we were in active addiction, right? We ask our higher power to remove our fear of facing ourselves and life. I mean, I can't speak for you, but that's why I used. We redefine ourselves by working the steps and using the tools of recovery. We see ourselves differently. I look in the mirror today, I like who I am, gray hair and all.
I color mine.
Our personalities change. We become feeling people. Do you remember when you had two feelings at one time after you got clean the first time that happened? I didn't know what to do. Capable of responding appropriately to life, we put spiritual living first and learn to use patience, tolerance, and humility in our daily affairs. That's what happens when you hang out here or around here. So today I'm learning to practice patience, humility, and tolerance in public. When people cut me off today, you know, that voice says, those assholes have been waiting there all day just for you to come by.
That was me. You had me
Because it never lets up. It always does what it's supposed to do. And I go, that was a great job of sharing. Thank you. But I know that every time I listen to you, my life goes to hell in a handbasket. So, no, we're not going to listen to that. And instead of giving him the one finger salute, I give him the two finger salute. And I say, God, please bless this person because they must be in a hurry. Most of the time. Another thing about growing old in recovery is you get a lot of stuff back. I got my license back. I got my family back. My mom actually wants me to come to her house today. I've got two sisters, and they're both very successful and very wealthy, and they come to me for advice. And I'm like, me? When my cousin's husband married her, he hated me. Now, I don't blame him. I was in full-blown addiction. I went to West Tennessee about 4 months ago to share at a camp out, and that next Sunday morning I met him and a couple of friends from high school, and we ate breakfast. And he was talking about retiring, and I said, well, I don't know, I may retire in a few years. And he goes, you should never retire. I said, why would you say that? He goes, because you have a gift. Like what you did last night. You can do that because you've been through it. And quite frankly, I am very proud of you. And he's inviting me and my wife to come. He called me the other night because my family is having Christmas on a Sunday afternoon in West Tennessee. That's a 6-hour drive. I got to work Monday morning. I said, we can't make it. Because if I stay till 4 or 5 o'clock, it'll be 1:30 in the morning when I get back. When I was 25, that wouldn't have bothered me. But at 62, shit, I can't do that. He called me and said, number one, my son's coming in from Kansas City, and we don't get to see him much. And number two, Patty and I have talked about it, and this just will not be the same without you and Katrina. So we're not going. And this was a guy who hated me, right? Time. stands for things I must earn. You know, you guys might be able to do this, but I could never pull up at Wendy's and say, yeah, give me a number 2 of recovery to go. I get the senior discount. That just didn't work. One of my first sponsors, his name was Bill, and he said, you got to do some work in here, buddy. He said, Narcotics Anonymous is not a spectator event. It is meant to be participated in. How many people went to the trap house and just spectated on a consistent basis? I mean, I went there and spectated when I didn't have any money, and I begged and cried for everybody else to give me some of theirs. You know, they threw me out the front door. I came in the back. They locked both doors. I came through the window. I'd come down the chimney if I had to. I got to put the same effort. Well, let me not stand up here and lie. I do not put the same effort into recovery as I did in getting high, because I don't have to. I work on the road, so I do a lot of meetings on the phone. Thank God for the Zoom platform. I go to a meeting every day, whether I'm in Harlan, Kentucky, or Johnson City, Tennessee, or wherever I am. I can catch a meeting. I got a sponsor who's got a sponsor. I know them both. They send me a text message every morning at 7 freaking o'clock, whether I want them to or not. And the best part of my day is responding to their text messages. And I call my sponsor pretty much every day because I need to. My sponsor knows by the tone of my voice when I say hello to him what kind of mood I'm in. And I need that because, you see, by the time I lie to you, I've already bought into the lie, right? So here's another thing that growing old in recovery does for me. I suffer with clinical depression. And, I'm a smart guy. I got it all figured out, right? That was a joke. So I thought, I hadn't felt depressed in a while. I can come off my antidepressants. And about the time we were at the camp out over near Crossville, I decided to come off of them. Didn't take me long to get severely depressed again. And I went to my doctor and I said, I can't take a certain medication for depression because it put me in an institution. And he said, oh, well, we won't give you that. We'll give you this. Unbeknownst to me, it was in the same family. Taking the medication, I'm getting up in the morning, and my thoughts are, you're useless, you're worthless. Just end your life. You'll do everybody a favor. I went right back to sitting at that table in 4 a.m. in the morning, August the 31st, with the wrong end of a loaded gun in my mouth. I didn't put the gun in my mouth, thank God. Having a program, I was doing self-talk. There's nothing wrong. I don't know why you're feeling this way. But the depression put me in denial of what was really going on. I was in Russell Springs, Kentucky, and I had my sponsor and therapist, I had a nervous breakdown. I left the job site. Thank God I'm always leaving the job site to go do something. And I wanted to cry, and I rode down the road, and I just screamed for 5 minutes at the top of my lungs because I couldn't cry. Now, see, before having some time in here, I would never stand up here and tell you guys this. I couldn't cry, so I ended up screaming. As I'm going back to the house where we're putting the roof on the house, I'm driving this way, and there's a tractor trailer coming this way. And that voice said, if you'll just pull out in front of this tractor trailer, it'll all be over and you'll be okay. And because of this program, I didn't. But I was calculating how much rope I would need from Ace Hardware to go out in the woods and hang myself. And that's a part of my story. Thank God for a great wife, because I came home Saturday night late. We did what, we worked around the house Sunday, and I thought I was in a great mood. Monday morning, I heard her call out of work, and I said, what's going on? She said, sit down. I sat down. She said, I want to know what's going on with you. And the dam broke, and I heard myself say, I'm crying, and I heard myself say, I just want to die, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. So she got me to my doctor, and we got me on some other medication, and I'm feeling great. I'm enjoying life again, and I'm going to stand up here and say I will never ever go off my antidepressants again, because I suffer with severe depression, and it don't go away. So you have the right. I give you permission to please ask me, are you taking your antidepressants? Please do so. Now, I had 2 sponsees, and they're in here right now. that I talk to almost every day, and I love them dearly. They help me. I don't know if I helped them, but they definitely helped me. When all this came out, they both said, we were really worried about you, and it's not their fault. But I said, why in the hell didn't you say something? And I said, please take me down off this pedestal. I don't like it up there. I get nosebleeds. It doesn't matter how long I've been in here. What am I doing today? It doesn't matter what I'm going to do tomorrow. The only place we can live in is today, right? That's why it's just for today. So I gave them permission to, if they see this happening again, not that they needed the permission, call me out on it. Call my wife. If you see me acting funny, call my wife. Call my sponsor. Call me out on it. Because, see, we all have the same last name in here, Addict. And we're all on an equal playing ground. Anonymity. No big eyes, no little we's. We're all on the same playing field. So you guys, and I need newcomers in my life because they teach me a lot. Because I forget. Some days I forget my name, seriously. But being in here for a while, this process has become second nature to me. It has become natural to me. I don't even have to think about it. It says in the step working guide, first step, fundamental part. Fundamental means it comes naturally. How many people get up in the morning and walk? That should be all of you. How many people lay in the bed before they walk and say, now this walking thing, how do I do that again? It's fundamental. I can't tell you, but I need to make this fundamental. Because there are days when I'm not in the right frame of mind and something hits me the wrong way, and my first reaction is to turn into who I used to be. And then I go, boy, you're not 25 anymore. Your ass is 62. You're about to get your old ass whipped. You better straighten up. And plus, this is not who you are today. My kids love me today. My wife loves me. Even my dog loves me. My wife told me the other day, I just don't have my dog anymore. He's yours. Because you see, today it's not all about me. I don't have to have my way. My wife and I are both the oldest children, and we butt heads constantly. But you know what? I work the traditions in my marriage today. I don't have to always have my way. Now, sometimes I'm out in the backyard going, fuck, I don't get my way. But it makes our marriage much, much better. She doesn't think the way I want her to think, and I don't think the way she wants me to think, but I allow her to be who she needs to be. She is the most driven person you'll ever see in your life. If she's doing something, she's making a list of 10 more things to do. Me, I am the biggest procrastinator you will ever see in your life. Let's do it tomorrow. So we balance each other. She gets my ass up off the couch, and I slow her down just a little bit sometimes. Her and her sister are figuring out a mantle for the fireplace, and her sister said, I would just go buy it. That's what I do. And then David puts it together, and she chuckles. It don't work like that in my house. And it don't. Oh, it doesn't. But, the main thing being, how did you say that, mature in this program, is I've got the best gift I never thought of, and that's peace within. I made a list. I think I had 10 years clean, and the sponsor I had at that time tells me he's still got that list of the top 10 things I wanted out of recovery. I'm going to go get that list someday and read it, because I'm sure when I do, I'm shaking my head and go, oh, God, how sick were you back then? God has got me right where God wants me to be. If I was supposed to be rich, I would be. If I was supposed to still have all my hair, I would have it. If I was supposed to be whatever, I would be there. I used to have a sponsor. He said, you're right where you're supposed to be, Harold, because that's where you are. And my head would explode. And the longer I've been around here, guys, the more simple I make this. Because what does it say? Simple, spiritual, not religious program. First word is simple. If you make it simple, it becomes spiritual. So the longer I'm around here, the less I know. I just stick to the basics because the basics work. And if you stick with them, you don't ever have to go back to them. And if you're in here and you're new, I'll tell you something. I'm really not supposed to tell you this. This is part of the old timer secret code book, but I'm gonna break that for just a minute. If you're in here and you're new, you don't have to relapse, because if you hang out long enough, Narcotics Anonymous has scouts. They'll go back out and relapse for you. And when those scouts go back out there, if they make it back, watch them. I've been around here for 36 years, and I've never seen anybody come going, woo, it was great out there, guys. I got a raise, I got a house, I got all this. They come back in here like this. I fucked up again. It ain't any different out there. I need that. Because if it wasn't for that, I might go back out there and try it. Because, I'm a smart guy. I got a great plan. If y'all would all just listen to me, well, we'd all be in a world of trouble. Send us home.
My shirt matches the carpet.
It does.
On a serious note, one thing, these are winners that I stick around with, and Harold is in my circle, my pack. But one thing, he said everything really that ditto. But one thing I want to talk about real quick, because I know your all's asses. Have you noticed that when you get older, you lose your ass? Okay, so anyway, when you mature in recovery, one thing I want to talk about is to the old timers. I never thought that I would ever be one. So I've cheated death so many times, even clean. I've cheated death from a bad surgery to whatever. But I was one of those that sat around and goes, where are the old timers? Sometimes it gets really boring just seeing them at conventions or when they pick up their medallion. That irritates me. That's another what chaps Maya's ass. So if you want an old timer you want them to come into meetings, and you ask yourself, where are they? Call them. Don't text them. Call them. Because I didn't have a cell phone till I was 40. But call them. It's a telephone. And it's like sometimes being mature in recovery or aging in recovery, honestly, there was times that I felt that I wasn't needed. And that's a dangerous area for me. It's really a dangerous area for anyone, but I can't speak for you. But when I'm got some time in recovery and you're not asking me to do something or go have a cup of coffee or can you come and speak for my anniversary, I don't feel needed. I used to not feel wanted, but I don't feel needed. And I know that my God and my understanding has got me through so much trauma, through so much crazy thoughts and feelings and everything else to be here for a purpose. I just quit asking why. I ask why not. So if you know somebody that you've not seen in a while, don't think they're relapsed. Unfortunately, COVID kicked a lot of people's asses, but I've seen a lot of bullshit excuses from people with time that goes, well, I just got used to, and I hate fucking Zoom.
Well, I love narcotics.
I love NA too. That's obvious. I'm up here making a fool of myself. But the thing is that human touch and that kindness, I don't care, and don't be scared. Because, see, the thing about being mature in recovery, you did not get to see me when I was a monster. You didn't get to see me walking in here like a $2 whore on a $3 corner. You didn't get to see me in here sitting on my hands going, please, God, I don't want to use today. So you think about that. Getting old, I never thought I would ever do it. I didn't want to. And I didn't want to get clean because I thought it'd be boring. And it was boring. But shut the fuck up and get involved in service. You'll mature in recovery. But if you haven't seen somebody in a while, reach out. Don't go out there because they may be using. It tells me I'm to stay clean and in here and carry the message of Narcotics Anonymous, because this program, this literature, and those damn old timers that I want to knock the shit out of them when they go, oh, it'll be okay. You just do this, this, and this. Or to the unself be true. Or just for today. Wherever you go, there you are. Fuck that shit, I thought. But you know what? I did it. And I owe my life to certain members. Jack Spencer, Richard Dabbs, Freddie Morton, Randy Wells. I owe my life to them. Because they treated me like a lady when I couldn't treat myself like one. And they weren't trying to get nothing from me but for me to get clean and get to meetings. There's a big difference. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. So anyway, are we done here?
We're done. It's
Oh, it's
o'clock.
ding, ding, ding. Is it time to take my
Thanks,
medicine?
guys. Thanks for coming out.
Oh, whoops.